Welcome back. It's 4:46. I'm Martin Daubney and this is GB News. Now, a Bulgarian organised crime gang fleeced taxpayers out of an astonishing £54 million in what's been called Britain's biggest ever benefit fraud. Prosecutors said the gang treated the benefit system like a cash machine to fund their own lavish lifestyles. The five, you can see on screen now, who operated from 3 fraud factories in London, made around 6,000 fraudulent universal credit claims between 2016 and 2021. And the cash was used to buy expensive cars, clothing and jewellery. Well, joining me now is Joanna Marchong, Investigations Campaign Manager at the Taxpayers Alliance. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Joanna, how on earth did they get away with such a massive fraud for so long without being intercepted?
No, well, it's absolutely outrageous to anyone hearing this story. But the real problem is that this is only a drop in the ocean in terms of the amount that the government is losing in benefit fraud every single year. Overpayments due to benefit fraud of around 6.4 billion last year. And the cycle just keeps on continuing as people are able to take advantage of the system.
And what's truly eye-watering, Joanna, you will know this. When I clicked on my tax return recently, where do my taxes go? Well, 19% goes to the NHS. The second biggest tax liability of every pound is 13 pence, and the pound goes to benefits. Joanna, we have a benefits bill second only to the NHS, eye-watering. There's a huge amount being paid out, which obviously means a huge amount can be skimmed off. How do we clamp down on such fraudulent fleecing of money?
Well, taxpayers are living in a world where we're having a 70-year high tax burden. And realistically, we want the government to do the best that they can to ensure that only those that really need these benefit payments are receiving them. Right now, we have a system which is sure to be used. Anyone is thinking that they can just use it to their own gain. It's seen as a system where you try and try again until you get a positive claim or you get some kind of money. But what we really need is for the whole attitude towards the system to be for those that only need it. If you're struggling to a point where you can't live, then reach out and see whether you can claim this money. And
a huge amount of this problem, of course, began during COVID when benefits scamming became a massive industry. It was an overpay of 8.3 billion per year during the COVID period, and that was nearly double the year's previous amount of fraudulent totals. 7.5% of all benefits budget that year was fraud, and the government didn't do much about it.
Well, after COVID, we have created a new attitude towards working and an entirely new attitude towards how we get money in the first place. You see a lot of people have gotten accustomed to maybe receiving benefits or receiving payments because they couldn't work in a time when we were in a pandemic and we weren't allowed to. But now returning to work, as we've seen, and there have been multiple reports, that it's increasingly hard for the government to try and get people back to work. You have public sectors that are giving out major benefits in terms of pay, the flexibility. But what we really need is for people to realize that, this is how the world works. You have to work in order to live, in order to make money.
Well, if only that were the mindset. Thank you very much for joining us, Joanna Marchong, who's the Investigations Campaign Manager at the Taxpayers Alliance. Thanks for joining us on the show.